Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my number one is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on the PlayStation 3, also available on numerous other formats. I take it you haven't played this yet?
I haven't touched it, no. Interested to hear what you have to say.
All right, okay. It's difficult to know where to start. Basically, well, first of all, Ubisoft's done two things. First of all, they've moved the release date forward a few days in Europe, which almost certainly has something to do with Battlefield 4 launching on the same day initially, but they've also been touring it around the UK so that the public can play it. So on paper, both of those things seem to suggest that they've got a tremendous amount of faith in it, and it's not misplaced. I think, as far as I'm concerned, this is the game that they should have made in the first place. Because the Desmond Miles stuff isn't in it, and for me, I mean, that's always, as far as I'm concerned, that's a joke. Now it's kind of received wisdom that was always the weakest part of these games.
Yeah.
And now that it's gone, I still remember hearing about Assassin's Creed, the first one, and reading about it, and just being genuinely excited. And then from the second I realised they'd inserted that futuristic framing device, I just thought it was a terrible cop out. So the fact that that's gone, I mean, there is some modern day stuff in it, this first person walking around Abstergo Entertainment HQ, but it can be almost entirely avoided. I mean, you've got like 3/4 of an hour there unless you explore, and exploring is drifting down corridors and switch puzzles. They're not even switch puzzles, they're just pressing switches. And there's collectibles and stuff, so that is rubbish.
Okay.
So you get to focus on the core of what's always been interesting, which is the central conceit of these period adventures.
So what is the main story again for people that might not know?
Of Assassin's Creed?
No, of 4.
Okay, well, I want to avoid spoilers, and it's quite complicated. But basically, you play as Haytham Kenway's father, Edward. So Haytham Kenway was the guy you started off playing as in Assassin's Creed 3. And I think perhaps as a response to fans who thought it was quite jarring that you sort of went from Haytham Kenway at the beginning, who was this really interesting, morally ambiguous, almost a villain, to go to Connor, who was a traditional hero and not particularly interesting. Edward Kenway in Assassin's Creed 4 is much more like the child he gives birth to, because he's motivated almost exclusively by greed and sort of trying to enhance his reputation. He's actually, a complicated, not entirely nice person, and
right.
He looks and occasionally sounds like Chris Hemsworth, which I suppose is interesting. The pacing of everything is just better. It's unafraid to go long on things. So it's almost certainly a result of not having to be assembled around this kind of ad break style cliffhanger every couple of hours, because that always wound me up. It would build up a certain degree of momentum, and then it would cut back to bloody Desmond Miles, who was just, I never found that stuff particularly interesting. Fans of the series, I think, by and large, seem to regard the Revelations and Assassin's Creed 3 as the weakest of the series, whereas I think they were the best and most interesting games. Nevertheless, I think, regardless of how you feel about, which is your favourite and where you think they went wrong, Ubisoft have been listening very closely to fans, and you can tell almost throughout it. I mean, the world is much bigger than the world in even Assassin's Creed 3, but the traversable land is heavily compacted. So rather than, if you're running from one end of Boston to another in Assassin's Creed 3, that could be, I'd say, probably about 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, it was. Whereas here, all of the stuff, all of the missions and everything is compressed so much more. So you don't have to sort of spend an age running around. Assassination missions weren't in Assassin's Creed 3 for some reason, which was completely bizarre, but they're back now. The eavesdrop missions where you walk around after people and sort of listen to their conversations. In this, they're kind of route puzzles, so you're always, a lot of them in Assassin's Creed 3, you just have to walk in a straight line, essentially. Right. This is a lot more, you're avoiding things and trying to get, but you're plotting a route through the world. So those are a lot more interesting. Homesteading, they got rid of that obviously because that has no point in this story. And if there's something you don't like, after every mission, you're given the opportunity to give each thing a star mission. So a star rating. So if you thought a mission was amazing, you give it a rating out of 5 stars. You give it 5, or you can give it 1, and they feed straight back to Ubisoft. So
they're really,
so it's quite cool because they're going to see what works and what doesn't. but basically, the whole reason for this, the whole reason for being, the reason this is so good, is that they took the best thing about Assassin's Creed 3, which was the naval combat, and they've made it that's what the game's about. It's about the naval combat, and it's still, the word I've used is definitive, because I don't know how this is going to be topped. It just feels so good. I mean, it's everything about it. They've nailed it first time, and it's still, and you can sustain the entire game. I mean, there's fast travel, so you don't even have to do that much naval combat if you don't want to. But it's the best thing about the game, so I don't know why you'd skip that. Did you do? I mean, you played 3. Did you do much of the naval combat in that?
I didn't get to the naval combat, despite playing 3 for about 400 hours. I didn't even get that far.
Okay, well, I mean, it's an absolute joy. There's some extra elements in 4 as well. There's things like rogue waves and tornadoes to contend with while you're at sea.
Oh, really?
And you can also use your telescope, because you have to, basically, when you're out at sea, you have to try and find cargo that you can either sell or use to sort of build up your ship, and you have to try and find crew members as well. So you can be on your ship, see another one sailing past you, and use your telescope, and you can see exactly what's on board, and then you can have a fight with it. And just fighting one-on-one with these ships is just absolutely thrilling. I mean, you cannot beat it. And it's simple and it's accessible, but it's not. The combat's all about judging time and distance, so you honestly can't beat it. I mean, if you size up a vessel, you can see it's got cargo that you need, and then you use all of your weapons in tandem with each other, because some of them have, from different parts of your ship. You can only use them from here, A, B, blah, blah, to sort of smash up this ship, and then you hook onto it, and you use these side-mounted swivel cannons to just hammer away at the crew, and then you swing on board with your crew, your shipmates. I mean, you can't beat it. You cannot beat it. And then when you're on board a ship, you can either take the ship and have it in your own fleet, or you can nick the crew, or you can just steal a few parts to help repair your own ship. It's impossible to understate how entertaining it is. I mean, I never thought of myself as somebody who had a thing for pirates, I suppose, but it's impossibly exciting, and it didn't for the 30 odd hours that I played this game, it still hadn't got boring, and I used to just go off, ignore the missions, and just sail around. It's kind of like Grand Theft Auto in the fact that you can make your own entertainment. Some of that entertainment is there's now sea forts in the middle of the ocean, and those are some of the best parts of the game. They're like side missions. They're kind of like heavily armoured castles in the middle of the water.
Okay.
And they've got battlements and weapons and stuff. So you basically hammer them as if you're hammering a ship, although they're much harder. And then when their sort of defences are down, you all leap onto the, you get on foot, and then all your crew go and just have a load of sword fights. It's brilliant. It's the best parts of the game in microcosm, and they're just out there at sea for you to go and find if you want. It's hard to, I don't want to spoil the plot or anything. There's obviously, like all Assassin's Creed games, there's real life characters in there. I had never heard of them, so I assume most people won't have, apart from one, Blackbeard, who's is given the most amount of sort of time in the game. Also, the ecosystem is straight out of Far Cry 3. They've just straight up lifted it. So there's different species highlighted in different areas of the map. You can't hunt everything initially. At first, sharks and whales, you have to get beyond a certain point before you're allowed to hunt them, which is a massive improvement, because the pelts, if you went and did hunting in Assassin's Creed 3, the pelts, you could only really sell them, whereas here there's a crafting system. Again, they've basically taken some elements from Far Cry 3, which is, as far as I'm concerned, is not a bad thing. So it's Assassin's Creed as you know it, but better, more polished. The naval combat truly makes it, but as good as it is, and it's brilliant, it gets even better after a little while, because it starts, basically there are treasure maps that you find, and you go somewhere, there's coordinates, and then there's a little badly drawn picture that you have to kind of study to try and find this treasure. Some of it's buried underground, but some of it, after a while, you unlock a diving bell on your ship. So you basically have to dive deep into the ocean and sort of find submerged shipwrecks and look for treasure. I mean, it's just... It's the pirate game. If you've ever thought what a great pirate game would be, this is basically it. If you're playing Grand Theft Auto 5 at the moment and you think that nothing could pull you away, I'd say this can do it. It's that good. It's not as eccentric and I think interesting as Assassin's Creed 3, but just for pure entertainment value, it's exciting. And I do think they're getting better as they've gone on. The writing's got better. So I think the story's more engaging, and I just love the fact that it doesn't stop for these, incredibly dull Desmond Miles bits and pieces.
That's good news.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, apparently there are some fans who want that. I mean, if you look around in the first-person thing, you'll find out a bit more, because Assassin's Creed 3 just kind of ended, just stopped. If you want to know more about what happened to Desmond, you can explore if you like. But by and large, it's all about the central adventure, and god damn it, it's thrilling and it's meaty, and the side missions are better than they usually are. I mean, everything about it's just better. I mean, you can see why they've got such confidence in it. So even if you don't really like Assassin's Creed, I mean, if you're going to play one, this is the one to get. I think this is the one where they've really nailed it.
Okay. You made it sound more... I'm more interested in it now than I have been previously. I always liked a lot of the ideas in there, and having not played the naval combat, but I've heard it's great and seen it looks great in 3, so a game based around it. Everything about it sounds really interesting, but I've been burnt so many times by this series. It just doesn't... It does a lot of things which just kind of turn me off, and one of the main things is the kind of how linear the standard assassination missions are. I always felt like I was just walking along a very thin road, having a fight, getting to the end, stabbing a guy, having a conversation with him while I knelt down. Is that still are they still the kind of central pieces of the game, or
not really? No, I'd say they're not. I mean, if you're not talking about the side quests, where the actual just assassination missions, you mean that?
Yeah, the story, like you got to kill, this guy from history, whatever.
I mean, that's still a central part of the game, but there's so much more to it. I mean, like I said, even if you stick to the story, there's a hell of a lot of naval combat in there. I mean, you can skip the lion's share of it, I'd say, because there's fast travel everywhere. It's a lot more like Grand Theft Auto, the way that the map's been designed and the way that you can waypoint stuff. Because there was this weird thing in Assassin's Creed 3 where you go to an area and then you'd have to walk backwards through it in order to go to where you were supposed to be going. It was really confusing. This is it's just a lot more streamlined in general. It's difficult. I mean, if you really aren't a fan, I'd say that this is the best chance of engaging with you, just because it's basically a pirate adventure rather than a sort of... I don't know. It feels freer. It's like I said, the pacing's better. It just feels like a more sort of complete thing.
Getting rid of that Desmond Miles stuff is a very good start for me.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Fuck all that.
Yeah. I'm the same as that. I mean, I actually thought it got vaguely interesting when it went all Inception-y and Revelations, but I was the only person, apparently. I just think it's tremendously exciting. I mean, it really is. It really is. The naval combat is some of the best things you'll do in a game all year, as far as I'm concerned. And even elements that, one of the worst things about Assassin's Creed 3 was those terrible missions. They were optional, thank God, where you were chasing like Benjamin Franklin's diary pages around. You can do that. Obviously, Benjamin Franklin's not in it, but you can do those similar missions, but they're sea shanties for your crew. So once you've got them, your crew, when you're sailing along, will sing different songs.
That's good.
The sound design, incidentally, is absolutely out of this fucking world. Out of this world. When when there's a storm coming in and your crew are singing, and this hefty boat is rocking in the... I mean,
you're making it sound good now. This is the most excited I've been about this game by a long way. A long, long way.
Well, I honestly think it's really, really terrific. And I honestly don't say that lightly. I should stop comparing it to Grand Theft Auto, but I thought, a lot of games I've played recently, I always want to go back there straight away. That didn't happen with this. Just sailing around the ocean, getting into adventures. It's wicked. Honestly, I think it's absolute. I think they've nailed it. I don't know where they go from here, though. That's the problem. In a way, it would have been better if they just did a spin-off of pirate games, because I want more of this sort of stuff. But anyway, look, Assassin's Creed 4 is terrific. I loved it.